All right, yeah, let's bang out a quick one, as Kyle likes to put it.
As I put it, yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Attack of the Fanboy Podcast number 23. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Will.
And again, no Anthony today. We might be, mixing up our schedules and stuff, but we'll trudge on. So it was a very slow week in gaming. News was trickling out, and there wasn't much there. So I'm just going to run down three quick stories that I thought were interesting. Divinity Original Sin 2 was announced. It's coming to Kickstarter on the 26th of August. Hearthstone makes $20 million a month, according to a data collection service. And Resident Evil 2 is getting remade. That is probably my favorite news of the week. Super excited about that.
I forgot about that one when we were talking about what came out. That's a big one.
That is a big one. So that had been coming for a while. Like, there were little hints, and then Capcom was like, "Hey, would you guys maybe like a Resident Evil 2 remake?" And then the internet said emphatically yes. So we're getting it. It was officially put into production. They didn't give really any details. It's the very beginning. But yeah, that's pretty exciting. I'm a huge Resident Evil fan.
Yeah.
Really, 4 and before are the classic Resident Evil era, and 2 was actually the very first one that I played. I started with 2, so it's kind of that, ingrained in my head as the best. It's my favorite Resident Evil, even if it's not technically the best.
Yeah, Resident Evil for me was like that game that transcended from like the Super Nintendo era into PlayStation for me, where it was like, this is the next generation of video games in general for me. That was, for me, the first Resident Evil was like, oh wow, this isn't, back, because I played that when it came out, and I was young, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Looking at them now, doesn't look like anything special, but back then, God, that was a game changer for the PlayStation. And I did write a story this week. I'm surprised I forgot about it. About Resident Evil 7 or the next game. And you've written on that subject as well, about what they need to do, with the series, and they need to reboot it or whatever. And
yeah.
I
said
go ahead.
that they need to reboot it, but yeah, if I didn't read your entire article, but if you're insinuating what I think you are, which is that Resident Evil 2 being remade is kind of hinting that they're going for that more classic feel. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I mean, my article was basically saying this is probably a sign that the next Resident Evil is on the way, because all the other companies are doing this. If you just look across the board, it's all remakes, but all those remakes are leading in. All those big remakes are leading into big sequels, and I think I touched on it. It makes business sense for them to do it because they're making money in front, probably helping, because it probably doesn't cost that much to remaster some of these games or remake. Maybe remakes cost a little bit more, but
yeah, it depends on what they do. Are they just going to throw it into the the Resident Evil remake engine, just take all of the architecture and everything and make it into Resident Evil 2, because that would be a little bit easier. But if they go for full-blown remake, then it would be pretty strenuous on them, I guess. Might take them a while.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. But, also in the article that I wrote was just, I'm just getting tired of remakes. It's just, traditionally we've bought game consoles to play games like Resident Evil, that game that's like, okay, you're doing something different. It was worth the money to pick this thing up because now we've got these new experiences. We haven't really gotten that.
No, we definitely haven't.
And there's always that moment in the console life cycle, and it usually happens pretty early on. We're going into year 3, and it's like, where is that game? What game is it going to be? Because I don't see it even on the horizon right now.
Nope.
Yeah, it might be, Uncharted looks good, but, You
But
know,
it's still Uncharted.
yeah, we've seen that before.
Yeah.
Uncharted 3 wasn't a bad-looking game. Like, they're going to have to do something. Somebody's going to have to do something that kind of changes the game a little bit. And, I said in the article, Capcom has done that before. Can they do it with Resident Evil? Probably not. And I actually read your article as I was writing my article, because I respect your opinion on it. You're probably more authoritative when it comes to Resident Evil because you like the series a lot more than I do. But I think we both are in the same situation where we didn't think the last couple of games were very good or very Resident Evil.
Not at all.
So it's like, I also said that it's the market is pretty primed for something like Resident Evil, something different. We had games last year that came out. Maybe The Evil Within wasn't all that well received, but games like Alien Isolation were, and that was survival horror.
Yeah. No, that niche is there, and they used to be the kings of they just ruled over that market. But then when Resident Evil 4 kind of branched out of that, they said, well, let's keep that going, and then they ran the series into the ground. And in my opinion, maybe other people don't think that. The
last game was not very good. I didn't
6
think
was garbage. It was hot garbage.
It was it was just way too actiony. It just seemed like any other action game.
Yes.
I didn't get any feeling of, even with 5, I kind of like the co-op. There was some elements that I did enjoy, but I just couldn't get into. I mean, 6 had co-op as well, but I just couldn't get into it. They just took it too far. They wanted to hit too many people that they kind of lost the heart and soul completely. Like, the heart and soul just dropped out of that thing, and. I just want them to get that back because I want something new like that. I want to be excited for a Resident Evil game.
And with these remakes, they're essentially admitting that crowd is still there, that they still want them. And Resident Evil 1, the HD remaster, sold exceptionally well. Maybe not as well as Resident Evil 6 and Resident Evil 5. I'm not sure why, but... well, I guess I do understand that it is an old game, but I think if they went back to their roots, Resident Evil 7 is, classic survival horror with maybe some kind of innovation. Say, VR, Project Morpheus section. I don't know. Something different would really propel the series.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. If we could see, if Capcom came out as like one of the first people in VR, and we're doing Resident Evil 7, Morpheus exclusive. Think about it, Kyle. Yeah. Think about it.
Yeah. I would prefer Oculus Rift on my PC, but I'll take it. I will take whatever, as long as it is classic Resident Evil and not the new generation. So I'm glad that they are kind of pulling out. I agree with you that remakes are old. I'm tired of them, but if it's a classic like Resident Evil 2, I will definitely take it.
Yeah, I'm just getting tired of hearing, hey, we're remaking this. Get excited.
Yeah. I mean, this one at least, they weren't like, they didn't announce it. They were just like, do you guys actually want this? Like,
cool, we'll bang this one out.
There you go. They're like, do you want it? Yes, we want it. Okay, fine. Here you go. So that's good. So the other kind of major thing that happened this week was the International, which I actually did watch. I know we talked about it last time, and I know very little about Dota, but I'm very interested in esports and the International in particular. So I did sit down and watch the entire grand finals. I think I missed the very first game, and then I watched the rest of it, and that was fantastic.
Yeah.
That was a riveting, great time.
Are you being facetious?
No, okay. Not at all. No, I'm 100% serious. I was sitting there, like, cheering at certain points. I was like, what? I didn't fully understand what had exactly happened at some times, but I could tell that something incredible had happened. And I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, there's, obviously when the crowd starts going crazy, when the announcers start picking up the pace,
Yep.
you can kind of tell. And that's why I said earlier when we were talking about it, it's like, yeah, the announcers, the presentation, all that stuff, adds to the experience, so much so that you're like, I might want to go to that, that might be fun to like attend the grand finals or something. But
It'd be intense.
some of the early stuff on is pretty. It's hard to get into because you don't know the teams and there's so many of them. But when like the final comes and like, okay, whoever wins this is walking away with $7 million. It's insane. And they were doing some comparisons. Like I was watching ESPN and they're like, these kids who won this championship won as much as this professional golfer did for winning the Masters. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually wrote something about that, how ESPN covered the international, and they try. I feel like they try hard, but I think that their commentators, like the talent that they have announcing things, really don't want to talk about it. And so they sit there and like they say these weird condescending things the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, you get paid money to play a video game? I'm like, you talk about people that get paid millions to play games all the time.
Right.
How is this astounding to you? And then one of the ladies was like, what does the audience do? Do they just sit there and watch them play? Yes. That's
kind of like people watch people playing football or soccer or baseball or just about anything else. Yeah, I agree. I think it's just that people don't understand the level of like hand-eye coordination, speed, dexterity that you need to be able to navigate a PC like that. If you put a professional athlete in front of, in a Dota 2 match with professional level players, it would kind of look like putting a child or one of the Dota 2 players on an NFL football field. Both people would equally get smashed and equally have skills in their respected areas, It's just that society, right? Society has just deemed people for so long that play video games as like nerdy guy in the basement, blah, 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 whatever. It's just, and that's the audience that they're speaking to. So I think kind of those people are just, that's just how they are.
Yeah.
They want to come across as cool guy sports. I know it all about sports. And, that probably resonates with their audience to say that sort of condescending those condescending things. Yeah, I get that. That's a valid point completely. But I thought it interesting that these guys are making that kind of money.
Oh, definitely, and that was probably the most shocking. I think every single ESPN segment mentioned that, and they would show it is a higher prize pool than Wimbledon. Yeah, it's pretty insane what the money is that's going into this, and it's all community generated, so that's really cool.
Yeah.
But I'll be watching next year. They actually had it streaming in theaters around here, and I was really tempted to go, but it was like 6 hours long. You don't know if it's going to actually be interesting. This was good because going back to something you said, I rooted for Evil Geniuses because they were the American team. So that kind of gave me an easy in. I think the biggest problem I usually have is I don't know who to root for. I don't have anyone that I'm kind of invested in. So I know that they do interviews and stuff. I think you mentioned that. I need to get on that. I need to watch those before next year's and kind of pick my team.
It kind of gives you some background, for the players, and it is like a lot of international players. So it's still hard to relate to some of those other teams, like the Korean teams and the Chinese teams and stuff. But because it's all translated, they don't speak English, and there's a barrier to entry. It's kind of like that. It's been like that for a while in the esports, especially like I watch StarCraft 2, and all the players are, Korean.
Oh yeah, StarCraft. So. Yeah, that's like Korean. All of our sports put together. Well, since it was a slow week for news, we are over the halfway point for the year. Something we kind of talked about was to talk about what has been our favorite game so far. What do we think might be our game of the year, and kind of talk about what we're looking forward to. So, yeah, I have a list here of just what's come out. This is really just off the cuff what we think really struck us this year. So, do you have anything just off the top of your head, Will, that
Yeah,
has been
Destiny
best?
House of Wolves.
Oh yeah, that's your
I'm
your
just-
DLC.
I'm just joking.
Taken King,
Uh,
maybe.
I don't know. I kind of fell off the Destiny train.
Good.
Why do you are like you're just rooting against Destiny?
I am at this
Rooting
point.
against it. You know, for me, off the top of my head, one of the best games I played this year so far is Batman Arkham Knight. I really, really like that, but I'm not sure that I would give that, my game of the year for this half of the year. Ori and the Blind Forest.
I wish that I had played that because I bet that would be high up on my list.
Yeah, Ori and the Blind Forest is exceptional. It's not just in its art style, but in the platforming. It is a really, really, really good game. I'm guessing that one will be on a lot of people's lists come December. So for me, that's one. I didn't review The Witcher 3, but I'm guessing that one will be on there as well for games of the year. I haven't finished The Witcher 3 yet, so
Yeah.
I can't really.
I haven't started it still. It's sitting in my GOG Galaxy, ready to go, but I just keep putting it off. I think a lot of people really enjoyed Witcher 3, but it is sort of tapering off. I don't know that everyone is gonna still put it on their game of the year. It'll be in the top if you do like a top 10. I don't think anything will knock it out of that, but as far as official game of the year, I don't know that Witcher 3 will hit too many. But maybe I'm just in my own little echo chamber.
I don't know, man.
You think everyone's still loving it?
The number of 5s that went out for that game or 10s.
It was big. I just think that it's tapered off. I think it's still considered very highly. It's not getting a full like BioShock Infinite had a bit of a backlash after a while. I'm feeling just a little bit of that. Not the whole way. If that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I think the thing that The Witcher has going for it is that by the time we get to that point in the year when people are making those decisions, it's going to be in its best state, and it has gotten quite a few improvements. So the game that you end up playing when you go back to look at this game for your consideration, if we do a game of the year, you'll play the best version of it. You won't encounter the problems that I did when I first started. Like, they've changed the movement stuff, and they've made tons of tweaks to different aspects of the game that really improve it. So I think it will be up there. I don't think there's as much backlash. At least I haven't been seeing it.
Gotcha.
But yeah, for me, I think right now, definitely, Ori is one of those games that's going to be there for me at this point. I don't think I see anything coming out in the next 6 months or 4 or 5 months that it's going to compete with that. I don't think it's going to be my game of the year. I'm not sure, but it's
really,
definitely one of the best games I played this year.
It's indie games. It's tough to throw into the same bucket as AAA games for game of the year. I usually try to separate them, unless you do get those standouts. You get a Journey, you get a Walking Dead that just knocks it out of the park, and you're like, yep, that's better than all of these major AAA games. But usually it's tough for them to compete.
Oh, you haven't played Ori and the Blind Forest. It's one of those games.
All right.
I don't know if it's a journey, but it's up there. It's very, very, it's a solid, sound platformer, fun to play, and it is gorgeous.
Yeah, I was super excited. I don't know why I didn't just buy it. Now I'm kind of at the point where I need to wait for a sale to justify the fact that I waited.
Yeah. For Batman Arkham Knight, for me, is, I think I think that's just kind of the crown jewel of that series, and that series is done. I think that it is a great game, but there have been games like it before it. It's a great formula. It's a formula that will be fun to play, even if they made another one. And I know we've talked about that. So for me, it's going to be hard for that game to, kind of stay up there as well, even though I rated it very highly. That's the way at least I look at it. It's just hard because as good as that game is, you get a little points for originality. And Ori and the Blind Forest, for me, is probably the best game I've played so far this year. Bloodborne was really good as well. That was fun, but again, just like Batman, we're seeing quite a few of those games roll out. And at some point, it gets a little bit, you get, as good as it is, you get a little bit tired or, just over that sort of same gameplay mechanic, even though it's good. But
gotcha. Well, you know why Batman isn't on my list?
Yeah.
Because I still can't play it. It's still broke on PC. I think they actually haven't put out an update in a long time. I think they're supposed to be soon, but
I saw some chatter going around, people starting to get antsy. They're like, all right, it's mid-August. Where the hell is the update we're supposed to be able to play this game? I don't remember. Did you buy that game?
It came with...
that came with your video card.
Yeah, I upgraded my video card. They said that there would be an update, I think, by the end of August. So, they still do have 2 weeks, but you would think you'd get some incremental stuff, not just wait and... maybe they'll get one big update out there that just fixes most of the problems, but as of right now, it's just off my list. And by the time I play it, the hype is dead. I was so excited to play it, and now it's such a letdown in my mind that I don't know that I'm going to enjoy it as much when I actually do get to sit down and play it.
It is hard when you get excited for something, it doesn't work. It's hard to come back to, especially nowadays. You've got so many games coming out in succession all year long that it's like, dude, you had 2 weeks to catch me. You didn't catch me. I'm probably not going to play you.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, but
it's understandable.
That definitely will be on my list is Rocket League.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm playing that all the time still. I was playing right before we got on for the podcast. It probably won't be my number one. I can almost guarantee that it won't, just because it's a simple game. It's just jump in and play, and it's the same thing over and over. It's just that strategy and everything that makes it interesting each time. But it did that so well. Just the multiplayer experience in this game is amazing. Really came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting to like it. I remember seeing an announcement trailer for it and being like, well, it's soccer with cars. That looks so dumb. And now I'm addicted. I've got 40 hours in on Steam, probably another dozen or more on PS4. And
good Lord.
Still going.
So is replayability a factor for you?
No. I think most of my games of the year, Alien was solidly mine last year, and that's a one time. There's no reason to go back to it. I think thinking back, most of my games of the year are usually ones that just have a very strong impact that first time. But looking back, I don't have very many of those games this year so far. I'm really just scrolling through this list. Tales from the Borderlands has been fantastic. I've been liking that a lot, which technically started last year, but it's going to finish this year, so that's when we would count it. And a lot of remakes. Going back to what we said, I literally see stuff like, oh, Majora's Mask 3D. Oh, that's on my list, and that's a remake. And what's a definite unique game that is on my list is Splatoon.
Yeah, I figured that one would be on your list.
Yeah, that's definitely Super Mario Maker later, which we'll talk about more. But Nintendo stuff did deliver some good content, but still, yeah, I'm really scrolling through this list looking for anything that jumps out at me. It's been a slow year now that I'm really looking back. Other than remakes, Resident Evil HD remaster was nice. I was excited about that. Rare Replay was great, but it's still more older games.
Yeah, it has been a lot of them. And, you know, as much as we've kind of faulted Sony, they put out a few exclusives. Microsoft's put out a few exclusives. But, you know, looking at going forward, the next, 4 months are going to have a lot of games in them.
Yes. Yeah, that's I think our game of the year hasn't come out yet. I think it's going to be maybe Metal Gear Solid 5. I think Fallout 4 is the easy answer. I think if it does everything it promises and hits the same notes that Fallout 3 did, it'll easily take Game of the Year.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about it. Fallout 3 won Game of the Year. Skyrim won Game of the Year from, like, the mainstream media, basically.
Yeah, for pretty much everyone.
I have a hard time. There would have to be it would have to just fall on its face to not. People have been waiting for that game for so long, and waiting for the reveal and waiting for it to come out that it's gonna be hard. I see probably that, The Witcher,
Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear.
If it does something really unique with its open world mechanics and all of that, it could top Fallout 4.
I don't know.
Tough.
Because you have, like, the Metal Gear fan base is decidedly PlayStation owners. You know? Like, for the most part.
Yeah.
A lot of people haven't played all the Metal Gear games, so it really just depends on how well that stuff is tied up. It's hard, and the Metal Gear story is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you bring people into that haven't played Metal Gears? Maybe they've owned an Xbox since the Xbox original, and now it's like, well, why the fuck should I give a fuck about this game?
Yeah. I mean, it's...
I haven't played Metal Gear Solid 4. Why do I want to play Metal Gear Solid 5?
4 was on there. So 2 did come to the Xbox 360, but 3 and 4 didn't. Yeah, right. I mean, it is pretty solidly PlayStation.
It's pretty fragmented.
I thought that they had really expanded out, but now that I'm thinking back, nope, they didn't.
No, and 3 came out a while ago. 4 came out a while ago. You know, it's been a while. I just don't know if... I think Metal Gear obviously sells a lot on its name. People who want to try it out. But I think there's also going to be people that are like, there's a lot of other games that I want to play. And I think that's why it's coming out early next month. Because, you know, I don't think it competes in October like Assassin's Creed and, you know... What else is coming out? Battlefront, probably? I'm not sure.
Yeah, Battlefront is November.
Okay. But those big games, those games that everybody lines up to get at midnight, I'm not quite sure that, you know, Metal Gear is there. But that's just me.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, I've played all the Metal Gear games, but I know a lot of people who are like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's one that generates a lot of passion, but like you said, it's a niche group, I guess. But I'm in that group, so...
Yeah, I mean, PlayStation is not a niche group. Obviously, there's tons of consoles out there for the PlayStation 4, but how many of those people jumped over from Xbox, and does Metal Gear Solid 5 make a compelling case, right? I guess if there was some way to go back and play all those games, that would be great. Like a full collection.
Yeah, they did the HD remaster on PS3. Did that come out on Xbox?
I think those old games have, but 4 hasn't.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
I don't even think 3 has.
Hold on. The HD collection. The HD collection came out on 360, so that had 3 in it. But how many people bought the remaster and played through that so long after it first came out?
Right. Yeah, it's a tough sell. But I'm not by any means thinking that Metal Gear Solid 5 is going to be a commercial failure. There's no possible way that's going to happen. I just don't think that it's like, that was the best game I ever played, because it's going to be tough to get into the story for a lot of people. I guess it's tough for anybody to get into the story, but might be wrong. Maybe Xbox owners will line up for it.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it counts, but GTA 5 on PC, I think that was the... Even... When did the Xbox One and PS4 versions come out? Late last year? Or early this year?
Yeah, late last year. And then the Xbox 360 PS3 came out the year before.
All right. Yeah, the PC version was, I mean, definitely, in my opinion, the best of all of them, but it wasn't a huge jump over the PS4 and Xbox One, so maybe it won't make the list. I'd put it in there somewhere, but maybe not. You're not near the top.
Yeah, I'm sure that's why we do our kind of like staff roundups for Game of the Year at the end of the year, because everybody has different tastes, right? Like, I couldn't put Splatoon at the top of my list or anywhere on my list because,
Because you haven't went and bought your Wii U yet. That you should.
I'm still
go
holding
and buy.
I think last year was that moment to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I went ahead and pulled up Metacritic and have it sorted by just games in 2014, and we've pretty much talked about everything near the top that isn't a remake or a re-release, like Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight was a fantastic game, but that came out quite a while ago on PC and Nintendo stuff. Did you play Pillars of Eternity? The Obsidian RPG, I think? Or was that was Paradox? I don't know much about it.
No, I haven't. No.
It's not been an amazing year so far, but I think going forward it's going to get better. Fallout 4 is coming, so that should bump 2015 up to a pretty solid year.
So, bottom line, best game you played so far this year?
Rocket League.
Oh.
I think I think it takes it.
Rocket League.
If I rule out remakes, I mean,
yeah.
If there's a Zelda in a year, it's probably my game of the year. So
Psst. Your fanboy is showing. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Rocket League. I thought you'd go with Splatoon, honestly. You seem pretty...
It's tough between those two. I've played more of Rocket League. I really don't know. Splatoon had a good single player. I mean, it was a more well-rounded game. But the impact that Rocket League has had is just crazy. It may be just that I don't know anyone else that has Splatoon, as sad as that sounds. I have friends that have Rocket League. You get that friend team whatever. I don't know what I'm saying. But friend team.
Me neither.
Playing with your friends is much more enjoyable. So if I could get that on Splatoon, maybe it would be better. And there's no voice on Splatoon.
Yeah. Well, I'm going with Ori.
All right.
Final answer.
2 small indie games have taken our mid-year game of the year.
That's interesting.
Yep. Well, we'll move on to actually what we played this week, which, I played a lot of Rocket League. Throw that out there. But I also played Olli Olli 2, which you've played quite a bit. You played on your Vita?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that came out for PlayStation Plus on Vita, and I wasn't going to play it. Downloaded it, started playing it, got super addicted to it, and, kind of agreed with what you said in your review about it's a game that can consume your life because you just get into it in a way that is incredibly addicting.
Yeah. It's almost, you can kind of feel that that's what they're going for. Like, every little thing is just perfectly made to really get you addicted to this game. Like the way that the levels flow, the way that every tiny thing that you do is judged. Mm-hmm. You can grind on a rail, or you can get a perfect grind on a rail. You can land or you can land perfectly.
Right, and the way that the challenges are set up, it's like, you've got to perfect grind every rail. And you're like, okay, I did 5, start over right away. And it's got that quick restart, so it's just one of those games that just, okay, I'll play one more time. I'll play one more. Yeah. Okay, I'll play one more. It's like, yeah, it's a very, very addicting, engrossing sort of game. I had to put it down once I got to like the really, really crazy stuff, because once you get, like, I finished all the levels and got the stars, and then you open up advanced levels, and the challenges and combinations that you have to do get insane. So I stopped.
Yeah, but it does a good job. So just to give a quick summary of the game in case you haven't heard of Olli Olli 2, it's a 2D skateboarding game. So you pull off tricks, but the kind of what makes it interesting is its control method. At least on, I'm guessing that the Vita did this as well with the analog stick. So you're not like, this was different for me. Maybe some of the newer skateboarding games did this, but you do your tricks with the analog stick. So you do like a half circle and you do a kickflip or something like that, and you're not like pressing buttons very quickly, which took me a while to get used to. I was pressing A quite too often and just messing up my landings and all of that. But once I broke myself of that, it was very good. But I think it has a good difficulty ramp. It introduced things pretty slowly and kind of got me into it. But then, there is a bit of a wall where you start getting into. It took me a while to even know that you can press the shoulder button to do more complicated flips and tricks.
Yeah, and like spins and stuff. Yeah.
And the manual is the big addition where you can literally do a combo throughout an entire level if you do your manuals right.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you have to do. As you get going in that game, you have to be able to not only land and do the perfect grinds, but when you get off of the grind and back into skating, you have to be manualing through the whole level to keep the combo going, to reach these high scores and actually get the stars. It's something else.
Yep. So I gave it a 4.5. I loved it. I played it on PC. There are keyboard controls. Do not use them. Just plug in an Xbox 360 or Xbox One controller, or DualShock 4, I guess, and you'll be good to go. You definitely want a controller. The keyboard controls were not great.
No. I can imagine that probably not working very well.
Yeah. I mean, they tried. It wasn't like they didn't.
How? I just don't understand. Like, some of that flip kick, like some of the kick flips and stuff, what do you just use? The arrow keys?
Yeah, use, I think it's WASD. I really used it one time just to see what they were. And
fuck this.
Yep. It was not the arrow. Maybe it was WASD and the arrow keys. So it's kind of like, it was.
Yeah, that sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, it was. But that was my really only review this week. I think, did we review anything else? Did Dean reviewed Sword Art Online, gave it 2.5 out of 5. Those, I watched part of that anime. It's not amazing, so
not a huge fan.
Yeah, it was okay. Got me interested in this in the beginning, and then I lost it later on. But not too much came out this week, so it's been.
Yeah, it's a slow week. I know we have. I didn't play any video games this week. I have been video game free for almost 7 days. I'm getting a bug. I want to play some video games, Kyle. I think I'm going to play some video games tonight. I'm going to dip my toes back into Call of Duty.
Ooh. Okay.
And I'm going to play. I know we talked about it last week, yeah. But yeah, they had the map pack come out, and I still want to get back into that and really take a closer look at it, and maybe write something up on the full season pass for this year, because I think it was pretty good. I think Sledgehammer did a good job with Call of Duty this year. From the zombie stuff to a constant flow of maps and weapons and changing the game up. I want to dip back in and kind of evaluate that on, as a whole package, and maybe write something up on it. I don't know. But other than that, I think Dean is working on Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons.
That's a good game.
That just came out for Xbox One and PS4. That is a good game. I reviewed that way back when. Very, very fun game. Emotional story sort of game.
Yep.
But an interesting control scheme where you're controlling both of the brothers. It's been a while for me since I played that, so Dean said he wanted to review it.
I'm
Other than
interested
that,
to
I
see
don't know
how
what
it
we
holds
have.
up. Yeah.
I'm sure it holds up well. It hasn't been, what, a year and a half, 2 years?
It's been a while. Hold on. I'm going to have to look that up. Brothers: Tale of Two Sons came out. It has been almost exactly 2 years. Just over 2 years. By a week.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it hasn't aged all that much. I really don't know the specifics on it. If it has been up-resed or graphical elements have been changed. I really don't know, because it wasn't a bad-looking game.
No.
On 360 where I played it.
Yeah, it had a nice art style.
But yeah, I'm not sure that much else is coming out in
Next
that we have our hands on that is that we're
I'll
reviewing.
be reviewing Tales from the Borderlands, episode 4. That's what got me thinking of it when I talked about it earlier, because episode 4 is the next to last episode, and it's been a really good series. So I'm pretty excited to jump back into that. And Zombie is coming out. I don't know that we'll do anything with that. That's coming out for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. But I loved that game, so I might grab that on PC and see how it holds up. That was the Zombie U, but the U is gone.
Yeah, we talked about that at length, and I have expressed my just absolute non-interest in that game.
Yep.
Without the gamepad.
So next week just has that, but the week after things start to pick up. So we got a lot to look forward to with that. Dishonored Definitive Edition, Gears of War Ultimate Edition, lots of remakes, but Madden NFL 16, Shadowrun Hong Kong, Until Dawn.
Yeah.
So good stuff coming.
Well, we didn't touch on we didn't review that. Obviously, everybody else did. Was everyone's gone to the Rapture, and that's been like a polarizing.
I really
title.
didn't look into that very much, and I don't know why. It seems like a game that I would like, and I just kind of ignored it. I need to maybe just go and grab it and see if I like it. It's what, like, have you looked into it?
I have not. I'm not.
Yeah, you've been busy.
It's not just being busy. It's just like that type of game isn't me. Gone Home, no thank you. I mean, I get why people like those games, that experience. It's a different type of experience. The walking simulator, it doesn't have to have gun simulator, But for me, those kind of games, not something that I'm super interested in personally.
I usually like them, so maybe I'll try and grab it.
So reviewing it is like, yeah, I'm not the person to review that game, but I guess I could. I just don't. I don't think I'm the person to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly don't know much about it, so I can't say, but it does seem like it's up my alley. It seems, yeah, like you said, the Gone Home. I mean, but you like Journey. I would fit Journey into that category.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, Journey could be, I think, put into that category, but those games are like first-person walking simulators. And Journey was.
It does have a run button, though. That was apparently big news.
Yeah, that was big news. I think a lot of the reviewers that reviewed the game touched on it, and like that was one of the complaints. It's like the game is too slow, and apparently like you have to hold down the button for a long time. And I watched a video on it. And it's like it's still not very fast. It's faster, and it takes like 10 seconds to get up to full speed or something. It's they're staying close to home on the realism, I guess.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, for me, I haven't played too much. Probably I'm not going to play too much going on next week. But yeah, like you said, that week after,
It starts picking up, and then it goes crazy in September.
then it's probably nonstop.
Mad Max, Metal Gear Solid, Super Mario Maker, Taken King, Forza, NHL 16. It kind of goes a little nuts in September, and then it's just going to be insane all the way to the end of the year. So, a lot to look forward to, just not much next week. Except Tales from the Borderlands. Everyone should be playing that because it might be Telltale's best game so far. And we'll see how episode 4 is. But other than that, I think we'll sign off. Thanks for joining us for Attack of the Fanboy Podcast number 23.